You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Dangerous Liberty Podcast, where we know that safety at the expense of liberty is slavery. I want to say hi to everybody out there. I want to say hi to Mike Hinn, Jeff Johnson, Alaska Andre D'Angelo, Jason TG Sponsor, Alaska Andy, and many, many more. Definitely want to say hi to all our folks over on our lost boys and girls over on Rumble.
I'll pull that up.
I don't think the comments from Instagram come over here, so we'll take a look at those every now and then, and many more. If you're tuning in just now, go ahead and make sure that you guys say hi. Summer, how was your week?
It's good so far.
Man,
still going.
We got a lot of stuff going on politically that I'm going to put some content out in the next couple of days as well. William Gittins, greetings from Georgia. Good to see you. Yeah, we got a lot going on in this world, that's for sure, to say the least. But what we have going on today here at Paramount is we have a very special guest. It was great to finally meet Frank out the Major Land Sniper Cup. And I will say that I don't think there's as many people, there's very few people out there that have contributed as much to modern long-range shooting in so many different ways than Frank. So right now I want to welcome Frank and Laura on. Thank you guys for joining us. Frank, thanks for coming on, and it's great to have you on, man. How you doing?
I don't think we're
excellent. Thanks for having us. This is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you guys coming on for sure.
You guys are looking all pro over there. You got like this background, the colors. You had the intro fading in. It was pretty epic.
Welcome to our foyer.
Yeah. This is our foyer. They're downstairs.
Hey, it works, right?
It gets the job
totally.
It gets the job done. No, Frank, obviously, man, I can't even remember the first time I jumped onto Sniper Hide. I mean, it's got to be many, many moons ago. But what I kind of like to hear from you, number one, for the few people out there that have been living under a rock and don't know who you are, introduce yourself. Laura, you introduce yourself. Tell us about you, and then I'd like to get into a little bit what brought about Sniper's Hide, and we'll kind of go into all that.
Sure. So Frank Galli from Sniper's Hide, my better half Laura. Laura's a comp shooter and RO and all that, and that's where Gary saw her at Major Land, and she was ROing the stage over there a couple times. Sniper's Hide, the story was originally, it started in November of 2000. And how that started was I had gotten a divorce, and in Connecticut, it takes you 6 months for them to do their whatever. And that day, my divorce got finalized. So I sat there in front of a computer and said, what do I do next? Well, we were talking on a BB board, but the beginnings of a forum called shooter.com. And shooter.com, if you got 10 people on it, would crash. And so people were there and they were like, hey, we want to finish this conversation. The website keeps crashing. And somebody said, well, why don't you make one? And so I bought the domain right there. And originally, from November until May of 2001, it was a front page Microsoft website. And so when you spoke, it was just one long conversation. I bought Microsoft front page, threw it up on the internet, and that's how Sniper's Hide started. In May, at that time, I bought forum software. And that's when Sniper's Hide was May of 2001, had the forum created. I probably had 25 people on it, and we were talking. What happens from there is 9/11, right? 9/11 happens, and all of a sudden, everybody comes to Sniper's Hide, and they're all looking for info. They're all talking and doing that. And from there, within the next year of that is when Jacob from Rifles Only flew up to Connecticut and then recruited me down to Texas right around, 2002, end of 2001, beginning of 2002 is when I went to Texas. And then from there, Sniper's Hide just exploded. The wars helped, everything we were doing. And then when I was working at Rifles Only teaching, we used Sniper's Hide to discuss everything we were doing because we were working with the military guys. We had the civilians coming through for competitions, and it was just huge conversations because everything going on in the precision rifle world. I tend to tell people precision rifle from 1958 to 1998, 2001 never changed. So from 58 to 9/11, what we did in precision rifle was identical. What I learned in 1988 in the Marine Corps, they were teaching in 1998.
Right.
You know, it was the same. After 9/11, the government took a giant bucket of money, threw it on the ground, and said, everybody have at it, and let's figure this out a little better. And that just lit everything up. And Sniper's Hide was the tip of the spear for that. Majority of the military guys were there. I mean, even the Marine Corps, the scope changing from the Schmidt and Bender, or not the Schmidt, but the Unertl to the premier Schmidt and Bender time. The Marine Corps was in Schmidt and Bender's office in Germany and called me because they're like, is this the scope you were looking at? And I'm like, yeah, I like this one. And because that was how a lot of that was going on. You had all these people were thrown into the mess of 9/11 with very little experience to back. And so they were reaching out to anybody that had a minute. And so that's where Sniper's Hide really blew up at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about the, Sniper's Hide and Rifles Only during that time period. I think, man, that was kind of the breeding ground for serious change within military sniper operations, without a doubt. I went to sniper school in 2003 in Sinjar, Iraq. It was the first sniper school that they had held in theater since Vietnam, I believe. But when we were there, we had the Army National Guard marksmanship unit was the one that was teaching that course.
Right.
And they pulled out the first time I'd ever seen the Horus, some optics with the Horus reticle. And so, that was the first time I'd seen that. And of course, we were still using
Mark IV.
The Mark IV, 10 power fixed. We were starting to see some of the Vari X3s come out, but we all had the Mark IV, 10 power fixed.
And Rifles Only was the original Horus instructors. We dropped it after a class in Fort Campbell because they had hired a felon, and we didn't want to work with a felon that Horus had hired. The guy had pulled a gun on somebody, got arrested, was in the gun industry previously, and was just not a very, liked person. In fact, he had bankrupt Gail McMillan's gunsmithing.
Wow.
And so he had a really bad reputation. And so that's when Rifles Only dropped all the Horus stuff we were doing. And then, we're just doing the other stuff. But talking the National Guard was a better school.
Yeah.
By the time 2010, 2008, right in there, you wanted to go to the National Guard school more than you did the Benning school because there was a lot of infighting, a lot of instructor ego and personality happening. And so we were seeing people that were trying to cycle through to National Guard courses more than Big Army.
Yeah, even that team that had come out to do that MTT course, I mean, it was all like former SF guys. Those guys were doing competition. They had won like the either the international or at least the military sniper competition like 5 or 6 years in a row at that point. I mean, they were shooters. That's all they did. And then, they were a lot of the guys came from Ranger Battalion and everything else that got out and then jumped into the National Guard, and, they were just there to shoot and compete. So I think we were really lucky to get them as instructors. But, the funny thing about that was right after I got done with school there is I actually shot Horus an email, and I was like, hey, I'm Gary Melton, absolute nobody. I'm a sniper team leader over here at the 101st. And this is before I went out. But I was like, I'll sniper team. Like, we just saw some of your optics. We'd like to get some and test them and hopefully, get them into brigade and division. Well, the funny thing is the owner of Horus, I don't remember his name, but he emailed me back. He's like, look, we can't send you any in theater. And we were still in Iraq for a couple more months. He's like, but as soon as you guys get back, we'll send you and your team to Rifles Only down there, and we'll train them. And I basically made all these no promises, but I churched it up like, hey man, we're gonna get these things adopted by everybody. The crazy thing is we went down there. We brought all the snipers from my battalion, one sniper team from each of our other battalions, and then one sniper team from each of the brigades. So we went down there with 12 sniper teams, and Horace outfitted everybody out with optics. We were running the ATRAG. It was the first time I'd seen a ballistic app.
Mm-hmm.
We were running the Horace.
And you guys probably had the Haku scopes, right? The Japanese scope, the Chinese one they used, the Hakus. It wasn't the U.S. optics. It would have been U.S. optics would have been the next one. So if you did their branded scope, it was
their branded scopes.
Yeah, it was the Hakus, and there was a lot of problems with those.
Yes, there was later on. But long story short, we got back, and next thing you know, the 101st, they were actually creating a new brigade at the time. Literally everything that I alluded to that I could make happen ended up happening, and they adopted, the Horace system with all the sniper teams there at the 101st. And then about that time, I went to selection with SF. But it was just cool to see. I mean, that was a big change during that time, from us getting away from standard mil dot, and it's starting to be seen as a hold off reticle being utilized and used like we do with modern optics now. But that was an interesting time period for sure.
It was fun because Horace used to give $3,000 a match and had a side stage that was meant for speed and hit this, and that's where moving chaos came from. And the Army actually adopted moving chaos. But what we would do is we would do the moving chaos and try to beat the time and the high scores and stuff, because Horace gave $3,000 every match to rifles only. And so we used to give away a lot of money to people to run a Horace because it was all side bet stuff. So that was something that was happening quite a bit. Like I said, we dropped out of the Horace thing pretty fast around 2003, 2004. Campbell was the last class we did when we went down to Campbell for the 101st, and we did a bunch of, but that was the last Horace class I taught was at Campbell.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you guys, in response to that class and us taking those back, and then several of the brigades wanting to acquire that, in response to that, you guys came out and did MTT. I had heard about it. Obviously, I'd already been to Rifles Only and didn't participate in that training. That is that's, at least for me, that's where I saw sniper operations and long range training start taking its first real drastic departure from all the antiquated stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Well, and we were quick too. So what we would do is, we did all 3 Ranger battalions. We did a lot of random SF groups, a couple random SEAL groups and things like that. But the Rangers came pre and post deployment, and all 3, first, second, and third coming like that often, and they're working hard. Especially first and third seemed like they worked a lot more than second. I didn't see second as much, but they would come in and go, we were just in country, we saw this, and we missed. We couldn't solve that problem. We would build the problem and solve it for them. Hey, you got to do this. And we would, we had railroad ties and all kinds of stuff. We would build walls, alleys, because one of them, I know this was a big one, was the guys running across the alley. So you have this alley with a door and a door, and you got a guy sprinting across the alley, very limited window. And we created an alley and then used our Northern Lights robot to run across it. So we can figure out what you don't need. Basically, it was just aim at the empty door and shoot that, and you'll get them when they're coming in. Don't try to shoot them, shoot the door.
Right.
But we were using the robot and cranking the robot across this alley and figure out what it needed. So we were able at the time, anytime a problem came up, we would work to solve it. Even the night operations and the early floods were blooming out your night vision in your thermal, So it's I want to run a flood on my Mark 13 or something. I'm going to run a flood, and I put whatever inline or Simrad or whatever they were using. Different guys use different stuff, and now I got flare and bloom, and I can't see as far as I want to see to hit that little target. Well, that's when we started pairing them up and saying, you run the flood, you do the shooting, you do this, you do that, to get that flood off that rifle and to let them go out farther with night vision at the time. And that was when they were running suppressed at night, not during the day, because the night's guns had the problems with the suppressors.
Yeah.
And if you ran it hard, the suppressor wandered. If you're only doing a couple shots, you were no problem. So they would run them at night and then run them during the day. So it was, how do I do this to do that? And what's my process from going from this to that? And so that's a lot of what we were doing, was solving problems for you guys.
Yeah, no, and it's just been cool to see all the innovation that's happened at the military. especially, it's one thing when we see things changing and evolving on the civilian side, but obviously it's a lot harder to affect positive change a lot of times in the system of the military, So I think we've gotten a lot better as a country to, taking some of these things that we're learning from the civilian side and applying it more to the military side without a doubt. And it's good for the war fighters for sure. Instead of being stuck with antiquated tactics, antiquated gear, and antiquated training.
Well, and the best thing was that you guys came to us, because going to base was a nightmare. I mean, I had to do all the stupid stuff at Irwin, the safety briefs, the SDZs, all that, to be the range officer for Fort Irwin out there.
Right.
And, I had to fly special, sit in a class all day. Then you go, like, even on Campbell or wherever, you got a stack of ammo. Civilian pulls up in a white pickup truck. He looks out the door and he goes, up, no fire extinguisher, and drives away. Meanwhile, the fire extinguisher's on the other side of the stack of ammo because he didn't get out. He didn't see it. I got to wait 2 hours so I could shoot for him to come back. And so that's why bringing everybody to us was so much better. And I think that was a big change. Is it wasn't, an instructor coming and giving you a hip pocket class at your base. It was you sending your unit to 6 days with us to work and then go out and bring that information back. And you had none of the bureaucracy of being on base, being around other people. I mean, even the stupid stuff of going to chow with the Army. Marine Corps is different for us, but going to chow with you guys, who's got a beard, who doesn't have patches on, who's looking perfect, who's upset that you have a beard, and who's, and the cliques all become a thing. And it's like, why am I talking to you? I'm working with them. Leave us alone. And you're on base now. You can't look like that. It's like, really?
Oh, the war's still going outside the wire. Last time I checked. Yeah,
it's a weird dynamic that I found going to the groups versus the groups coming to us, and the hurdles you had to get past just in that big Army bureaucracy of doing something. Your days, a third short because the cleanups, the waiting, and what are you doing? And then the sniper tower on Irwin was next to the qual range.
Right. And
the qual people came over to us and wanted us in helmets and flak jackets because the qual people are shooting. It's like, no, we don't have helmets and flak jackets. We're not doing that. Right. And so then there's a fight. You can't be here and doing that while we're right here doing this. And are you kidding me? You're 100 yards away from me. and so that kind of stuff adds up. And it allowed us to work at Rifles Only in a much better way to get a lot done. And that showed, if you take that 2003 to 2010, the info Snipers Hide and Rifles Only together was putting out was unrivaled as far, you know what I mean? On both sides, the competition side, because we were doing comps, and on the military side, because we were doing twice as much military work as we were doing civilian work. And so it allowed us to really kind of break this entire precision rifle thing down and rebuild it in a new image.
Yeah, no. And again, it's good to see a lot of innovation still taking place, and people are looking for change. We used to be so stuck in certain, I know that pre 9/11 mindset, it was like, hey, there's one way to do this. This is the only way to do this. And anything else is just stupid. I'm just glad to see that mindset has changed dramatically. And in almost every area of weapons, tactics, deployments, all that stuff is good. So what do you think in the last few years, especially, what do you think has been some of the biggest, contributors to moving long range forward, both in the civilian or the military world?
It's been the comps. The comps have done a lot of that, some better than others, but you're seeing, even the representation we saw at Major Land is a big one. The stuff out west, we see it with the competition dynamics because they're movement based. And so the military guys and that will come over. But just the sheer volume of the competitions now have changed so much. And even looking at the gear swing, we experimented for a while, the ingenuity stuff, the MDT blocks and clips and MPA, MDT, MPAs blocks that clip in for the barricades.
versus a bag now. The Ingenuity Gunworks, when they had the wedges, when everybody was trying to clip into things. And then I think the biggest change in innovation for us across the board is moving tripods from a camera tripod to a shooting tripod.
Yeah.
If somebody said to me tripod or bipod, I'm going to take a tripod. If it was I only can take one thing, including a bag of any kind, I'm going to take a tripod. Yeah. And so I think the tripod growth has really changed things for us. But we've streamlined a lot of the gear. People aren't carrying 4 bags now. They carry 1 or 2, a pint size and a medium or something to that effect. But so it is getting rendered down to something better. And I just see that the comps have been a big push for that. And the funny thing is like the East Coast comps aren't tripod heavy. Right. West Coast we are. And yet the tripod has still become such a dominant tool. And it's not necessarily necessary. The game changers, the bag you need, in the East Coast. But if you come out here, I want a tripod because I got to get over the grass. I got to get over everything and I got to get over the terrain. So the game changer may not work as well unless I have a rock or something to put it on. Now, the fact that we've moved to sort of that one bag solution, it's either the tripod solution is this, the bag solution is this. You can work the two of them together in a hybrid, but really we've boiled it all down to 2 solutions, which is good. Yeah. You know what I mean? The process is better, the process is easier, and the equipment is really moved up to next level, and it is barricade bench rest. Yeah. I mean, they're shooting a bench rest rifle off of a barricade, off of a prop, so I think we've seen a lot of improvement that way.
No, that's an interesting way to phrase that. I think you're right. This is the first time I really thought about it that way. Well, Laura, what do you think about as far as women? We're seeing more and more women get into the shooting sports. What have you seen? Number one, how did you get into long range shooting? And then, what's your thoughts on seeing more and more women get into shooting sports? And how can we get even more women into shooting sports?
Hi, I got into shooting. I got introduced to long range shooting in about 2011 and 2012 when I was in the United States Marine Corps. And then I got involved with somebody that introduced me to the world of competition in about 2015. I was already working with a long-range shooting company in 2012 to 2015. So I've already dipped my toes into it before I even got out of the military. I actually met him at SHOT Show in 2012. So
you must have been drunk.
Yeah. We were SHOT Show.
And in that shot, it was funny because she came to the booth at Mile High and she was with a group. It was the sniper company people. It was pretty funny. So there was 6 of them or so, and she was in that group. And I saw her, and she said, "Hey, there's a party at the Bourbon Club. It's the round bar at the Venetian, the club off to the side. That's right. That's viewable. Like you can look and see it. Yeah. So there's that club right in the corner before you go down the hallway." She says, "Hey, we're having a party at that club tonight." So I went out somewhere, and then I was coming back through, and I said, "Oh, let me pop in this party and check it out." And she walked up to me and she put her finger in my nose and said I was undateable, and then ran away. And I was like, "Okay, who are you? What am I doing?"
And guess what? He added me on every social media outlet that he could possibly find me. So do not underestimate this man.
He ran away.
But anyway, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You've had a good 27 minutes already.
Yeah, I interrupted.
So I think it's great that females are getting involved in the shooting industry. I don't know how to get more women involved. I know my friend Robin, she works really hard with the female. She's going to kill me for not remembering the name because I haven't been, and she's going to hate me for that too. But she does a lot of female engagement shooting expo here in Cameo every year. And there's about 300 women that go out there and stuff. And, that kind of stuff, just like making symposiums that are geared towards women, because women shoot differently than men, regardless of what anybody might think. We do. We think differently. We're emotionally different, obviously.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
So just us being together and creating a foundation in which we can grow upon with each other, as a foundation, will help grow the sport. You don't necessarily, I see a lot more women children, women teenagers, joining the fight because joining the game because their dad or their mom's involved. So I see a lot more younger women joining than, let's say, 25 to 35. Like they might dip their toes in like local matches, but I see a lot more teenagers getting more heavily involved in like huge aspect of competition world. And that's fantastic. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of the growing has to do with women just meeting the foundation, because it is intimidating. I mean, I was a female in the Marine Corps and beat on the rifle range, even though I was with 102 girls or 104 girls, depending on the day. At a time in my unit, you know, it was still intimidating to have just those male, you know, instructors, even though there's like 4 of them for 100 of us. It's still intimidating to have those guys around because you feel like male is a competition sport. And so they're judging you constantly. And that's just something that we as females need to get over. And it's hard and it's difficult, but it's like, you know, like we need to build the bridge together and grow the sport together like that. And I think my friend Robin does a really good job, and I'll have to get back to you, and maybe you should do a podcast with her because she's a phenomenal, I think both of you should do a podcast with her because she's awesome what she does for women shooters and opening the eyes and making a comfortable learning environment for women. But I think that's what it would all be about, is just growing a foundation for girls to be comfortable in the sport.
Yeah, no,
it's marketing too. They don't market, Gary. You know what I mean? I bring this up all the time on the East Coast side of it, that there is no outreach to anyone, really. It's cliques and friends. So I know her, she knows somebody who knows somebody, and then the circle gets closed. And it's almost always somebody being walked in by the hand versus coming up blind because they don't have a pipeline to bring a new person in. It's random who does it. But I mean, there should be open shoots. There should be a booth, you know, once a month or, you know, in the high point of the season at Cabela's. Hey, you bought a precision rifle? Here's a, you know, postcard with a QR code. Go see this or go look this and learn that. But a lot of it is the marketing side. And like Laura says, it's assumed we're judging. It's assumed we're going to be unkind. And that's not how this works on any stretch. Now, you could be ignored, but people won't be unkind unless you screw up ND or do something crazy that you shouldn't have done. You'll be ignored though, and that is as bad as being unkind for somebody who's coming into something new. You know, it's like there has to be new shooters over here. We're going to walk you through a little minute of this different than all the clicks over here, relinking with everybody. Hey, hadn't seen Gary in 6 weeks. How you doing? What's going on? You know, all that stuff. Well, take those people out of there, and they need to have a pipeline. Everything we do is a process, a shot process, right? There is no process. And so that's why you don't see what shouldn't be a fringe for us, but should be mainstream, not being represented. And why female shooters are fringe, because they're not marketed to. They're not talked to correctly. It's like, jump in and you might get, like she says, the younger kids, the 16 to 18s.
Because they're running with their mom, they're running with their dad, they're running with their brothers.
Right.
So they got that family basis right there. Nobody's going to touch them because they're 16, 15, 18 years old.
But I mean, if Summer came in blind right there, say, you know, her world's different, she shows up blind and all that, well, then the question becomes, who's hitting on her? Are they there for this? What are they doing? So all these little things, because she's an older person versus the 16-year-olds, that dynamic completely changes. And it shouldn't. It should be a new shooter pipeline, not a young girl pipeline, dateable girl pipeline, you know, and there's an element in there that causes those problems.
And to your point, Laura, I think as well, when you said this, a lot of younger females, I think in my mind, the reason you don't see some of the older females is we've already got, you know, families established. We have this going on. We have that going on. We don't really have the time that we feel we would need to dedicate to learning a whole new craft. And then we feel intimidated. We don't feel like we can just go in and.
It's not necessarily intimidating, but it's intimidating on our time. Our time management, and our ability to have that much availability.
Exactly.
And let's be honest in the conversation too. Like ultimately, I think shooting is always, just like other things that are more women oriented, are always going to have a greater appeal to men.
Right.
I do agree that there's plenty of room to grow, and all these things that you guys have laid out, I think, are areas that the shooting industry needs to kind of improve on for sure, to market to those, to create programs with those. With that being said, with the marketing, and Willie kind of brings this up, and I kind of disagree with this to some extent. He talks about Sig Row's marketing for women is the best I've seen so far. See, to me, and you ladies tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like when you start making these pink guns and shit like that, like it's almost
You're kind of marginalized.
You're making it so I have to
Yeah, it
like
doesn't have to be
guns.
cutesy. It doesn't have to be.
like
I must have the Tiffany's blue gun.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Do I run around with sparkles and a freaking pom pom? No. Like
I
it's
do.
a tool. It's a tool that has the ability to end somebody's life.
Yeah.
I get that we all want personalization, but I really despise. I hate hunting companies that make pink camo for girls.
Yeah.
What the F?
Tell us how you really feel, Laura.
And don't get me wrong. I think there are some women that will appeal to, and that's fine.
Well, it's low hanging fruit for marketing.
That's exactly.
It's throw pink at it. I did.
See
You know,
what
hey, we
sticks.
want to reach out to women. Splash of pink. I reached out to women.
Now it's turquoise. If we're out here out west, it's turquoise.
And
There's some
so-
turquoise on it. Girls will love it.
That's kind of a deal that again goes to marketing, where they don't understand how to bridge the shooting in sort of the female personality together. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of women who dig it and who jump on it.
Absolutely.
I mean, even the handgun side and the carbine side, there's much more representation there because it's short and fast.
Yeah.
However,
We got to show up on a Thursday, practice on a Friday, shoot Saturday, Sunday, maybe start driving home on a Sunday, but probably start driving or flying on a Monday.
Right.
That's 5 days away from your family, your work, and your kids, and your house, your dogs, your animals, your livestock, your farm, whatever.
And handguns half a day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you're seeing a lot more of that representation in what they're doing. I mean, even like I watch a bit of Lena Micklick. That's I'm getting Regina Milkovich and Lena Micklick messed up. Yeah. But yes, but like watching her, she doesn't do the cutesy thing. She's always doing her thing and she still acts like a woman and goes and does it. And when she's done, she'll make a little, dance or something, but she's business before she finishes.
Yeah.
And she still has her personality. And I think that's a good model for not other women, but for companies to look at that and
I think
treat them like an adult,
What's that?
Didn't she do the Sig Rose program?
She did.
Yeah.
And I think it's lazy too. It's like here's the problem. Here's all these problems why the challenges that why women aren't into shooting sports, whether it's long range or whatever else. It's like, here's problem 1 through 9. And then like, oh, you know what? Let's ignore those and we'll just throw some pink guns at it. I think it's the easiest thing to do without having to actually sit down and come up with a strategy to problem solve.
Women are much better with precision rifle than we are to start.
I agree.
They don't have the bad habits. They listen better and they're patient with a lot of that stuff. And so their execution is much better, quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you need somebody to bring them through. And that's where I think that sort of marketing and outreach, because for women, correctly advertising it can make all the difference in the world. I mean, even the ELR, the female team won 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think Ray came in.
Ray's always there. Ray's huge with the ELR stuff.
I can't remember. Sorry, Ray, if you hear this.
But yeah, I mean, there's some really, really high level women out there that if the company's used correctly to market to the rest of them could be successful. It would be confident, positive, because they're confident. You have to be to do this. Yeah. And so if you throw a rifle in Laura's hands, or, I've never seen Summer shoot, sorry, but in like Ray and stuff, they have confidence and they're going to go and do it and execute it, And so I think that can translate. That really what it comes down to beyond pink is confidence.
Yeah. I want to correct what I said earlier. My friend's name is Robin Sandoval, and she runs the company called Girls with a Gun. And that's where they come out to Cameo and they have AR, pistol, and long range. They take up the LRP. They have classes going on. They got all this kind of stuff going on. And it's over 300 women show up in May at Cameo. And I think it's 4 days long, 4 or 5 days long.
That's
so
really cool.
Robin Sandoval, Girls with a Gun. So I just want to give that the correct shout out that she commands that respect. She has done an amazing job giving confidence to women in 2A everywhere. I mean, she's been on Capitol Hill. She's done everything she's been to inner cities, changing women's lives, giving them self-confidence in carrying a firearm for protection for their house, their family, and everything else they love. So Robin Sandoval is actually a pioneer for women in the shooting industry.
Oh, that's awesome. Definitely after this, send me her contact info, and I'd love to have you talk more about
it really comes down to marketing, because hardly anybody's ever heard of that. And there's 300 women there, And so that's the case. We're fragmented.
Pick up a magazine. How many times do you see a girl holding a gun advertising for a company? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Very little, unless they're like half naked. And
Exactly, unless they're like some gun bunny. No offense to you gun bunnies. You're beautiful.
Exactly.
The pipeline is really what matters.
We want you to go away, but we're just saying.
I know plenty of girls that can outshoot you, though. You might look beautiful.
I do, the marketing part of that, but also, and I'm always a little mixed when it comes to like these women's only courses. We've offered women's only courses before, both pistol, rifle, long range, all these things. And I do think, and those are good. And there's been, I don't know how successful they always are.
There's not a lot of follow through in the sign up.
Like I think in 2023, we ran it to where like one woman could come free for level 1 or half price.
Well, do that because it's comfortable for them, that they're not being intimidated by a man. But I'm not sure if I don't know why it kind of comes and goes, and there's no continuation like we'll see in a more male dominated, where the guy likes it and keeps coming, keeps doing that. You tend to not see the women do that unless they have somebody to keep going with them.
I think it comes down to what Summer's saying, like responsibilities at home.
Yeah. But I will say what we do see personally in our business is once we can convince a woman to come to one of our general classes, not a women's only class. And it's really, once I talk to them or, kind of put a bug in their ear, it's not as hard as you think. And once they show up and see how competent they are, which
how fun we make it,
like we have a lot of repeat women come back after that.
Once we get them in, we keep. So once we get them to jump in the van, they're not going home.
Well, I think they also see they're just as cool as anyone else out on the range, and that they belong there, and I think that's a really good feeling for them.
Well, and that's almost why I don't.
I need to have a Tupperware party with the shooting course.
Yeah, well, that's almost why I don't like a women's only course, because honestly, a lot of the women that get up there, and we have women that come the first time, and next thing you know, they're right up there with Top Gun, or even get Top Gun or something like that. But I hate that they don't get to see how they would actually do against like a level 1 men's course or open enrollment course, because these women would be surprised that they're like better than most of the dudes. All things being equal, and
I said they're patient and don't have bad habits
and don't have the ego. Right.
Yeah. We're the American men are the best fighters, effers, and firers of firearms. Right. We could do the 3 Fs better than anybody. We fight, we F, we fight, or we shoot guns better than anybody. and so that's the problem right there is that you're never going to get past that of us. Is we're the 3 F people.
Just stop, Gary.
No, I completely agree.
Thank you, Summer.
Yeah, and that is the thing too. Whether it's long range or whatever else, man. Women, y'all need to jump in on this. You guys will have a lot of fun. I think you'll, just like there's a large percentage of men that would try something like that and they find out that it's not for them. And I think it's probably somewhere around the same percentage of women that will find a interest and a passion for firearms, whatever discipline that you're looking at. But, get out there, go check it out. You'll have a great time. Even if it's something you're like, this was fun, but it's not something I want to do all the time. But I think.
Yeah, the RO stuff is really.
You want to learn how casual shooting is and how much BS men bring home talking about it, the drama, but you really want to know how complicated the shooting is? It's not. Go in RO and you'll see through all the bull S, and you'll see it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, my husband comes home or my boyfriend comes home and he talks so much trash. And then I'm sitting here ROing for 2 days and all I do for 90 seconds is say impact, 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 impact. And these guys throw fits 100 yards back. They're going to go, I could do this with my eyes closed if they just did it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I think long range shooting is a lot less stressful than say AR or pistol shooting, because you got to run and gun and run and gun and run and gun. We literally load a 20 round or a 10 round mag and move 4 positions and shoot 2 rounds each position in 90 seconds. It's like ours, their lives, I've never reproduced and I will never have kids, and that's fine. But I can't imagine changing a diaper, mixing food, having a screaming baby, and then a husband that's asking where his beer is. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can juggle that. They can easily shoot a PRS match any day of the week.
Yeah.
Any day.
I agree.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
See, I got to give you guys kudos because I can't ever go there. So.
So, Frank, you're doing a lot of gear reviews as always. What's some great gear that you've seen in the last couple of years?
Oh, we're getting ready for Black Fridays next week, so I got a ton of stuff in. Honestly, the biggest chunk right now that I'm looking at is Area 419. They went from 0 to hero in 3 short years. It seems like. I have their mount here. That's just like next level. Yeah, all the stuff. I'm getting ready to do the Area 419 stuff. I mean, you can go from the zero press all the way through. All your shopping could be right there.
Yeah.
So I have to plug the Area 419. I think that's going to be number one. Other thing I'm looking at and playing with.
Real quick, we are an Area 419 dealer, so you can go to Paramount Tactical and you can support 2 great companies. So, but Area 419, Frank. Right before this, I just finished shooting the video. I just got in their mounts.
He was working on it today.
I literally 30 minutes before I jumped on here, I finished shooting the video on their standard and cantilever mounts. And these sons of bitches are pretty damn impressive in a lot of different, really small, smart ways. And I'm sure you've played around with these, but pretty impressive, pretty intuitive or ingenuitive. Been really impressed with that.
Yeah, it's a next level. I mean, just the whole company as a whole. I mean, I don't even know if you saw the guys that were shooting Major Land. They had prototype stuff all over them.
Yep,
they had stuff in the white, tripod stuff, this stuff, that stuff. And so they're always, and that's the thing, is they're out there shooting and they're solving a problem.
Yep.
You know, it's like, okay, what's the issue here? I got this problem. Okay, we're going to solve that. So I think the work they're doing is really, really good. The other one is big and coming up and in, and it kind of ties together. Is the Garmin AB kind of Calypso. So the Garmins are huge, and that's changed the game on chronographing, because it's just put it there out of the way, do your thing, check your numbers, mount it if you want. It's so small. And then I run the watches. I'm religious with the watches. I connect my Vectronics to them. I'm just tapping and looking with my watch. And that goes into the AB now with the Calypso, the wind meters.
Mm-hmm.
So the Calypso wind meter is now working with the Applied Ballistics and Garmin, and that guy's only this big, and it pairs to the watch as well. So now you could put the wind into your equation, not just your elevation with your Applied Ballistics and things. We're seeing guys put a threaded rod in their packs, put the Calypso sticking out, or if they have their tripod kind of spotting station, data station on their tripod, they're mounting the Calypso right there, getting their data, lasers, doing all their stuff. And so the AB kind of software going into everything, and including the Vector X's you have there, you know, we're going from that Applied Ballistics right into all of these products. And so for data management, I think that's fantastic. Even those Vector X's are next level. That's Vector X's, right?
Yeah, Vector X and the 6 hour.
Yeah, the Vector, to me, I love the Vector X's.
I love the 6 hour.
I've seen a little bit of inconsistency on people right now with those Vector X's. The only thing I can find that I know it's fixed a couple things is firmware. Make sure you have the firmware updated. Mine have been flawless. Mine get 4,000 yards, handheld like it's going out of style. I got a street sign at 4219. And so I really like the what Vectronics did with the Vector X's. I mean, everything's in there. You got a shot timer if you want it. You got all your software. The HUD is giving you tons of good data. The glass is great. It's like a base glass.
Is amazing. And the HUD that they have in there is amazing. I'm going to send you some offline questions. I've had these for several months. I just released a video today comparing the range, just ranging distances between these two. I got a little bit further. Well, and this is the weird thing. So when we were at the Major Land Sniper Cup, one of the guys I was with had the SIGs, the 10K Gen 2s, and I was ranging a house out there that could get it 3,123, on that day. And he couldn't get it with the SIG. And just like, for people that don't know anything about ranging binos or rangefinders, period, look, conditions are going to be determined. Some days, I'll just tell you right now, I think some days, on certain targets, the way that the lasers diverge and all the other things that go into with us, some days the SIG might range a little further than the vector.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the brighter the light, the worse the laser is going to do. You need some to look at, and there's a lot of things. And even knowing where your laser hits.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm always mapping my reticles. The 100%. SIGs I like a lot. Laura runs the SIGs, and I'm using that donut and I'm mapping where the laser hits. Like on my vectors, they're the center dot on that center X. I'm right at
100%.
6 o'clock of the center dot is my laser. So I know exactly where my laser hits on that guy.
On mine, I've tried everything to find divergence from that center dot on my particular set. And this was a pre-launch version of this. So
mine's a pre-launch as well. And mine is 6 o'clock on the dot. It's almost in the white space, but it's right there touching the bottom of the dot. And once you know where your laser kind of starts, it becomes a little bit better to get the smaller targets. And like the SIGs, because it's an LED and not a etched reticle, what I'll do is I'll grab a I'll put them on a tripod. I'll grab a telephone pole at about 800 yards and I'll run around the top on the donut to find the top of the telephone pole in the donut. Like I have, I had a pair of the SIG monocular and my laser was like 1 o'clock on the donut. So finding where that laser hits using really small targets and playing around, I think is important.
It is. In my 10K Gen 1, my laser was originally like way low. It was like outside of even the donut. And then luckily on those ones, I haven't played with these enough to see, but I know you can zero and readjust the laser.
Now with the aiming is even better.
Summer, what do you use?
Nothing.
See, I'm simplistic. What am I needing to range at 3,000 yards when I'm actually going to shoot?
100%.
So I can go with the bush now and be perfectly fine.
Gary, just do it for me.
That's right. The something I talked about in that just that test that I did, ranging the two. But it's not that we need to range something at 4,000 yards, but it is. Right. What really matters is, hey, when the conditions are real shitty, which one of these going to actually?
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
I'm just playing around.
Yeah. I know.
And then today we were out today shooting. I kind of jumped on the rifle for a minute, but Chris has a Daniel Defense H9, the Hudson, and so we were out playing with the Hudson today. And then, as well as part of Black Friday, I have the Shooter's Global Shot Timers, and that's the one MDT was going to do. And
you just had that.
Right. Yep. And we were running those today.
I watched it.
And I had a lot of questions. People were asking me, how does the video work? How does the dry fire work? And flawless for us. We had really good luck with it. We ran the video. We learned, you have to start the video versus it says it's running when you do it from the unit, but you have to actually push the video in order for it to save, is one of the things. But I liked the Shooter's Global stuff. We're finding time's important.
Yeah.
We're doing these classes, and one of the things I even tell people is I actually slowed a guy down on his follow-up. He was missing a lot of his follow-ups.
Oh, sure.
And putting him on the shot timer, he was like 3 seconds and below on the follow-up. And he was pulling himself and pushing himself off target going so fast. Right. And that second shot would miss more often than not. And it was like, you have time. You are quick enough in your first shot that you can take 5 seconds for your second and not 3 and get the hit. And so being able to look at people from a time standpoint has really helped us fix problems on the comp side. On the every day when I'm looking at a basic brand new guy doing something wrong, I can watch him and I can watch the recoil. Yeah. And I'm watching where his rifle recoils. Is it straight? Is it down? Is it over? Does it go sideways? So I can watch a new shooter's recoil. But a fast shooter like that, it's harder to fix them.
Yeah.
just by watching them. But if I have a number, I can slow them down. I can speed them up. I can bring them to a point. Like I want that first shot between 10 and 15 seconds by the first shooter. All right, I got you at 19. Now I'm going to bring you down to 14. Okay, that's good. What do you look like at 14? Can I bring them to 12? You know, and I'm looking at that. And then it's like your follow-up. Okay, his follow-up's at 6. All right, I could probably get him a little quicker, maybe a 4 to 5. But I'm not going to mention that right now because I want them to do all these things better. But I have numbers.
Yeah.
And once I have numbers for someone, I can adjust anything. And so that's what Chris and I, with his craft stuff, with the Sniper's Hide combo, with the rifle craft work, we're people don't realize it because they think I'm a hater, but we're running a lot more comp people. And we're seeing big improvements, and we're getting people to podiums. We're getting people to that top 10s to where they want to be, and the shot timer is a big part of that.
Yeah, it is, and just like you said, you know, when you start trying to advance or coach more advanced shooters, you know, those things that they're doing right or wrong become more nuanced, and tools like that. I mean, when you can put that SG Pulse on a rifle and have them run a drill, have the shot timer on there, watch every piece of that with the video, and then also look at, you know, the recoil management through the angle of their barrel, see if they're actually level when they squeeze the trigger. Man, it just gives you so much diagnostic and analytical feedback that there's nothing else out there. And it's a great anti-cant device, by the way, too. So, you know, you're right. The Shooters Global stuff, I think, is next level. And unfortunately, you know, we've sold a lot. You know, we're an MDT dealer as well.
Yeah.
So we've sold a lot of LRA Send It levels, and I have them on all the rifles. But, you know, that is almost going to do to the MDT LRA Send It what Garmin did to Lab Radar.
Yeah, and that was meant to be when MDT had the Shooters Global unit, and I talked to them at SHOP.
Yeah.
That was going to not only talk to the level, but talk to the trigger.
Yep.
The electronic trigger that would communicate to that Shooters Global. So they actually had a pipeline to say level, rifle, shooter, you know, all the way through to diagnose all that. And that was a big discussion that we had on training using those tools.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I love MDT. MDT stuff's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yep.
No, I was just going to say, even from a more simple point of view, without all the diagnostic, I mean, I had a couple of instructors in the shop today, and not our instructors, but some instructors for different entity. But he's like, well, you know, we were talking about the Shooters Global and the LRA Send It. He's like, well, I just always have a bubble on my rifle, and that's all I need. And I'm like, well, you know, that might be great for you, but what the electronic levels do that people don't think about is they constantly remind you with the lights that you need to be checking level. Because a lot of people forget, a more inexperienced shooter, they'll forget to check level. And with those lights just either always blinking or being there.
Even experienced shooters, especially under time and under stress, like that blinking light bulb screaming at you that your gun's not level is it's good to have.
He was like, I didn't think about that, but that's a great point.
It is.
Yeah, I get it.
You know,
we don't even use levels.
I wasn't going to say I don't use them, but I get it. Guys, I actually was just looking at a video yesterday because I was going to change it to vertical. Yeah. And what I did, I had Chris had just, and it's an old video. It's probably 2 years old now. Chris had just showed up, and the question came because I don't have any levels on my stuff unless somebody
a bubble level.
Right. Somebody will point to a spur. I might be running a spur on something, and they'll go, oh, you got a level in your spur. And it's like, I don't look at that. You know, who sees that? You know, I use that to mount the scope, not to shoot off of.
I put it on my fat boy tripod, and I use that level to make sure my gun's level. So when I level everything else, it's level.
But I was showing Chris a video, and I just ran it yesterday because I was going to vertical it. And what I did is at 600 yards, I had the rifle on a tripod, and I shot it and went boom, center punched it. Then I rolled it till it stopped on the really right stuff. I put it to the end, and you could see it. I mean, like it was like that. Or there you go, kind of a crazy angle. And it was a crazy angle on the rifle. And then I shot the 600-yard target in the same spot. And then he was like, well, and then there was a dot. I sprayed a dot on the plate and I hit the dot. And I'm like, dude, it's a win call. My gun's canted. And I'm like, it's 600 yards. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I actually was just watching that video yesterday to see if I was going to put it up or not, because I'm like, F a level. I don't use that shit.
I feel I get too stressed out. If there's too many things working that I need to focus on besides me pulling the trigger, I feel like I get anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, just leave me alone. I freaking completely sandbag the hell out of this stage, or I have it and have fun, or I freaking destroy it and I own it and I still have fun. So either way, I don't care.
If it was a minute, like a minute and a half target, I could see maybe a minute and a minute target. Yeah.
You got to realize I shot in the Southeast. Like,
yeah, meatball targets are for them guys. But if you
don't need levels out there.
If you got a little, but I don't, I just kind of run it. I got levels in my head. But it's funny because what we'll see.
Calibrate.
Mark one eyeball. Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
But
I
I do see people on the clock under time stare to the level. It's like driving your car and then looking at something and stare at it for a second, you're going to drift. There's no way around it. You're crossing the line. And so what happens is people fixate on the level and they start drifting, and I'll watch them shoot to the left because the level's on the left, and they'll start following the level. If you look at Vallejo, he's got two levels on his rifles. He's got one on the right and one on the left to center them up, because they know if they keep looking left, they're going to go left. So they have to break that up. Otherwise, they're going to steer in the direction they're looking. And which is why I do, like, my level check is I look at the bottom of the reticle, and I just kind of slice my reticle down through the action. And so I notice a steering that happens with newer shooters will steer to the level.
Well, and converse, like the last long range course that we had the LRA send it levels on the guns. And one of the guys, I guess he was cleaning his gun, he took it off the student gun, and then he put it back on. He didn't have the
little washer.
Well, no, he didn't have it flush on the mount. So
gotcha.
Cant into the level, so he's still guiding off the level. And the next day he comes and he's like, Gary, all my dopes changed today.
And if you look on bubbles, the Send It's great because the Send It kind of auto levels itself in a way. The bubbles, I check them all. I'm like religious with it because I want to poke somebody in the face, man. I want to be like, you're an idiot. And the thing is they throw them in their case and they nail them. They knock them off. So they're always off on that a little, and then they follow it.
I always tell people don't mount them on any tube, because we used to have on all our student guns, we'd have the rings going around the tube for the levels, and then I check them right before every course to make sure all the guns are good for students. I was like, dude, I have to re-level these things every single time.
Yeah. So and you have to manage a level, and then just what you said is people knock them off and then follow them.
100%.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, if we go back in time, and I was doing this when levels first started popping up, when they were first appearing, I don't want to say religiously, but more often than not. I used to always be like, if you're going to have it, you better be right and you better use it. And I would always take pictures, especially like in the comps at Rifles Only and in Sniper's Hide Cup stuff. I have pictures of Wade Stuteville shooting with his level like that, with George Gardner shooting with his level like that. Guys shooting and hitting targets, and it'd be like, hey, you hit that target. And it's like, I'm like, look at your level. How did that happen? And I would do that all the time to poke people. And I have on my phone, I probably have 25 photographs, pretty well-known people with their bubbles all off in the middle of a shot.
Yep.
But I get it. People like it, and I don't argue it no more. If you got to have a level, as long as it's managed and it's correct.
He also doesn't chronograph his rifle, but I do. Every time I go to a match, I always chronograph it, even though we do gravity ballistics now. So just like that's the basics. Like chronographing to me is the basic, and so is having a bubble level for people. I always chronograph. I just want to know where it's at, what it's doing, whatever. I know it opens up, it spreads out, but it's just one of my checklists. And if that's one of your checklists and it makes you comfortable and it makes you shoot better, then hey, go for it. Do whatever makes you comfortable and makes you want to shoot more. If that's what it is, have at it.
I don't care what my speed is. I only want to see the spread.
I agree. I agree with both those things. I think it's good to check for sure, just to give you peace of mind and make sure your dope's not wildly off, or suddenly you realize your hand loads are jacked up because you added too much, whatever it is. I think it's just a matter of, just like anything else we do, getting rid of variables, right? And in my head,
and we check boxes all the time. I'm always like Chris and stuff, especially because he's comping. We'll run cases of ammo and we'll chronograph
chronograph it, and all we care is the spread. I don't care what the speed is. I got to manage the speed regardless of what that is.
Yeah.
But my spread matters. And so I need to know, well, if I'm going to go past 1,000, this is going to be an issue and I'm going to have some vertical here. Well, if this is over here, I mean, personally, what I've seen bringing the comp people through as much as I have, if your SD is less than 5, it's next level. You've now jumped a whole kind of, I don't even know the word, but you've jumped a whole nother level. So I'll load something, I'll get an 8, right? I'll SD it to an 8 and I'd be like, oh, that's great. Single digit, I'm happy. No problem. But then when you come through with a bunch of ammo, that's a 4.
Yeah.
It's like stacking in a way nothing else does.
Yeah, you see the difference.
You see the difference. And so I want that information. But as far as 2850 versus, I have nodes. If you give me a load that's 2750, okay, I know what that's going to do in my head and what that's telling me. You give me a load 2850, I'm happier. And I'm going to be like, okay, I know what this is doing. But like the 22 stuff I shoot, that's got to be 2950. 22s want speed. My Valkyries, the GTs and those things, I got to have speed. I want 2950 or more. Like my Valkyrie load is 3025 with an 85.5. I'm a single digit SD of 5, and that load screams. I'm 6.8 at 1,000 yards. I'm a 7-mile-an-hour gun inside 6.
Right.
And it just points and hits. I'm smoking prairie dogs at 940 yards like they're going out of style because I have a town at 940. And as soon as I see them standing up looking proud, they're getting around, and so it's, to me, those numbers I need, but it's really, where's my SD and in what node am I at? After that, I don't care because I'm just going to gravity ballistics it. I'm going to add a 10th per 10 yards. I know my numbers in my head. I'm a 2.5. I'm a 3.2. I'm so on and so on. I know those numbers, so I don't really have to sweat my chronograph.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And the other thing too is, I think we all get guilty of this, is we start getting caught up too much in the minutia of all the tech and stuff like that, and just forget to get out there and freaking shoot. And
that's why I run SIGs instead of that thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with our long range school. Like the first level 1, level 2, it's all freaking old school data book. You're just learning data, learning it the old school way. That way, you know what it is. You have a baseline of knowledge. We're not going to even.
Well, and we do the gravity ballistics. We've been for 8 years now. They do their own dope. And then that gets put into the computer after. Cause like I got a small sheet here, but that gravity ballistic sheet there, this is an entire ballistic calculator on a single piece of paper. All you have to do is 0 at 100 yards. Nice. And so we're running gravity ballistics. And so we're always just doing this math in our head. And it's literally your 300-yard dope times 1.75 equals your 400-yard dope. If you take that number and multiply it by 1.45, that's your 500-yard dope, and you're going to center line it. And you don't have to chase data for people. It's only going to be 2 to 3 tenths off of dead center for a person, and then they have a valid number. And then on top of that, what I do now with this is we look at the drop column in mils. Mm-hmm. So after I dope my rifle to 1,000 yards, I subtract my 3 from my 4. And it's like, okay, it's 0.6, right? 1.0 to 1.6. So it's 0.6. Well, then from 1.6 to 2.5, right? Or 2.4, it'll go like 2.4. So then that's going to give you 0.8. Then it's going to go 1.0. Then it's going to go 1.2, 1.4, 1.6. And so your dope goes in order. If you see a hitch, right? So you get to 700 yards and it goes 1 mil, 1.2. And then it goes 0.8. Well, gravity can't hitch. You know that 0.8 is wrong. It's supposed to be 1.4. Make that 1.4. That's the right number. Then your dope flows, and then you just drop it in your phone and your ballistic calculator, and you're done. And so we do the gravity ballistics, and it's so easy. The people understand their dope. They watch it unfold. They do their math, and they get it. And so once we do that, then it's in the ballistic calculator. We pair them up, match 6 to 6. 1,000 to 1,000, you're done. And you go from there. So the gravity ballistics has changed the game. And there's an app. My app is $5. The app does it for you. So you just yank the gravity ballistics app up.
What's your app called?
Gravity ballistics. It's a $5 app.
Everybody jump on there.
Yeah, and it's not an Android right now because Google just yanked me off. Google said my phone number was wrong after 2 years of having an app in the app market. So I'm waiting for the appeal, but it's in the iPhone and it is in the Play Store. Google's just playing games with me. They sent me a letter that they took it out of the App Store on the 8th, and I have to have the verification finished by the 7th.
That makes sense.
And they yanked me. So they're just messing with me because it's Sniper's Hide.
Well, Google is very 2A friendly. I love them.
Yeah, they're my buddies. But this does the stuff, the Gravity Ballistics. The app is $4.99, has unlimited tracks. Make as many as you want. It works with your phone in airplane mode offline, so you don't even have to connect your phone. And it dopes the rifle. Put in like I tell everybody, shoot 300. Put that number in, verified. It's going to give you tri-dope, and then just verify as you go through. And the pencil means you can adjust it. The green check means it's true. Once it's there, you have data, and you can go to a competition, dope your rifle on Friday with Gravity Ballistics, use that range card, and just name it, Altus, and then say, okay, I just shot Altus, and here's my dope for Gravity Ballistics. Now I go to Pig River, because it's unlimited tracks. And it works offline. You can have as many as you want, and it's $4.99.
Well, I got it. I'm gonna be shooting a review on this bullshit.
There you go. And before you ask, it works in mils or MOA. It does not matter because it's gravity. So it doesn't have a mil or MOA on there. I think it says yards, but it doesn't need, it could be meters too. If you're in Europe listening to this, just put your meters in and just do the math. It'll work. It doesn't matter because what we did is we found the value for the gravity between 100-yard lines, and that pencil will let you change it if you need to, because we shoot places like Paula in California. That's got an angle to their 800-yard target. Mifflin in Pennsylvania, 17 degrees to their 1,000-yard. Gravity doesn't work when you go up 17 degrees the same as it does flat. You can adjust the gravity ballistic numbers.
So I see. You're basically, it allows you to come with essentially a multiplier that's going to work.
You can change the multiplier.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm tracking now.
Yeah. So if you need to adjust the multiplier for your location, and you wouldn't need to change, but the 8, 9, and 1,000, the short ones will work. What does he say? Don't say, who just said
He knows what I was about to say. I've heard that MOA sucks is what I've heard.
MOA sucks big time. MOA needs to die a violent death.
F you, Jeff.
Yes.
F you, Jeff.
No MOA. If you're shooting paper, F class, go shoot MOA all day. But if you're shooting anything but that piece of paper on F class, stop shooting MOA, please.
Frank, where MOA is works really well is when you shoot at one target at one distance with no time constraint on a manicured range paved with wind flags. Anything else, you need to be shooting mills.
I can't even count that high to get to 1,000. I take my shoes off. I don't have enough toes and fingers. How the hell do I dial?
He's not only short, but he's missing toes and fingers.
Yeah. How do I dial 38? Where does 38 even come from?
Just turning my wrist.
And you know the crazy thing? I have like one of the most expensive scopes you can buy. Even that only dials to 32. So how do I get to 38?
You start holding off, I guess. But
I guess.
I was invited to shoot an ELR match, and the guy gave me loaned me his gun. Thank you, Hunter, by the way. But it was an MOA, and I was just like, turn 60 MOA. 60 MOA was I was like, are you free? I
don't even understand how people keep track of that.
Right.
Yeah.
How do people keep track of that?
Do you have a clicker to tell you how many times you went
over twice? I was like, fuck, I forgot which rev I'm on. I had to go all the way back twice. I'm like, all right.
Your turn's sticking that high up because it's on the screw.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They're crazy. MOA people are bows, man. They're nuts.
It's a cheaper scope, so they can still claim to have a night force while not having to pay the big dollar for the good stuff.
And you know the crazy thing is too, like there's true MOA and there's shooter MOA or inch per 100 yard, right? And if you do inch per 100 yard, you can do the 100, the ranging with the 100. But all the MOA people are trying to range with 100 when it's it's 95.5. How is that easier?
Yeah.
Right? It's 95.5 is the right answer. You guys with your hundredths are wrong. That's on inch per hundred. That only works on a Leopold. That doesn't work on a Night Force.
And if you would, the funny thing on this argument is, now you got me on a tangent. The funny thing on this
Hey, somebody
MOA is more precise, right? That's what I hear all the time. It's not, by the way, folks.
It's not.
It's not. But if you're doing more precise and then you say, oh, well, I use feet and inches. Folks, let me explain something to you. If you want to find a correction by the least precise way, try to estimate what 15 inches is it 720 yards, and then convert that to MOA. There's nothing less precise. You have a very precise measuring device, whether you use an MOA or mils, by the way.
I guarantee not one of those guys' wives can drive, because they think 6 is 9.
I love it. I
got 4 inches on him.
But no, let me explain. I'm gonna do.
This is the dude that needs to lift the chair to see over the wheel.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a quick math class for everybody listening. So the people who think MOA is more precise, I can dial a 1/10 of mil per 10 yards because there's 10 10s and 100, right? And it's a 1/10 of mil per 10 yards. So if I have a target at 520, I just dial 2 tenths over my 500 and I'm going to hit that target. In MOA, they have to do the minute per 25 yards. And then none of them know that on top of trying to break 25 up into 4. So now you got to divide 25 by 4 to get those yard lines. And it's like, wait a minute. If a minute is 25 yards, 50's 2, 75 is 3, and the next 100's 4. Well, how do I break that quarter up by 4 to break up my yard lines? Or what? How am I? You can't. It's I got 25 yards. So the MOA people are 25 yard increments. We're 10 yard increments. We're finer.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, you cannot adjust individual rounds with more precision than your group size at any distance, anyhow. So
it's a half a bullet width difference. A 0.26 versus 0.36 is half a bullet width.
A 1/10 of an inch, folks. A 1/10 of an inch.
So we're good.
You're. I did a whole video on it. You can check out MOA Sucks Part 3. I go through and I talk about dispersion.
Part 3.
Part 3.
How many parts are there?
Go on Sniper's High. There's 10,000 mil versus MOA conversations every day. Even Chris just did another article on it, and he broke it down even finer. I think he took the decimal places, like 8 decimal places, knowing him.
Look, I'll show you something.
Oh, they already have one. They have one.
I have it.
Yep.
Yeah, we both got one.
Yeah, that's always.
I think they're hanging over the fireplace.
It never gets old. That discussion never gets old. So, what else is new for 2025 with Sniper's High, Frank? One thing I need to talk
about.
TV. We need to do some advertising with you guys. That's one thing we got to do.
You need to put some training classes out there.
Yeah, if you guys have the videos and the stuff, we could put your company on the High TV. So what I did is I created High TV.
Okay.
And it's part of my app, and that's all coming through. What we're doing is we're adding channels for nothing. So like you have a channel on YouTube, my girl will go in and scrape your YouTube channel and put all your videos into Sniper's High. So everybody can watch there. Your podcast can go in there. And so all it is another outlet for people to find your stuff. But all it is dropping your link you already have. Rumble works, YouTube works. So you can, if you wanted to promote your Rumble more than YouTube, take your Rumble link and drop it into Sniper's High. Have your channel and just feed your channel the same way this is. And so we're doing that. Not only am I not charging anybody to put a channel up on the site, if you bring in subscribers and your lessons you do like online training lessons, because it's it's a media center, the High TV. It has analytics, it has everything.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
You can do lessons and sell lessons to people. Okay. I'm letting you guys take all my fees and everything. If you put a lesson up and the lesson was $100, it's got 5 videos in it and it's on, beginning precision rifle. You put your fundamentals there. Say you put $100 price tag on it. You get $80 of that. So that way there, you get paid for your stuff. On top of that, as you bring in subscribers to my channel, you get a percentage of the subscribers. So what I'm trying to do is create a content creator network that pushes everybody to precision rifle. And like the beauty with this is Rumble's good, but YouTube can get weird, right? Unlist the video on YouTube and just put the link in on Sniper's Hide. YouTube will leave you alone, and then you can just have it playing through me. Granted, you don't get the YouTube
Sure.
traffic.
They guys almost all our videos anyhow, so I'm not worried about it.
Exactly. So you're not skylining yourself to do it. So I have the podcast in there. I have the videos in there. It has lessons. Like I said, like CR2 guys, they put their lessons up. You sign up, you subscribe, they work on your phone. You can mentor people through it. So say somebody says, I want Gary to be my mentor. You can do one-on-one lives on the backside. You can host events and different things. And so I'm doing that right now. The forum's still there, and we're always working on that. But we're moving to the video platform. Now,
Cool.
This is Gen 1, and I'm waiting. And I had a meeting yesterday. I don't know if it's this next update. I want to say the next update is the one, but it might be 2 updates out. The Hide TV app is going on your TV. So you'll be able to access the Hide TV site in the video page through your television like you do YouTube right now. So you'll be able to download an app, Hide. Your account would go through that, and then you can watch the videos on your TV. That's the next place I'm going with it. I already have new people. I mean, niche stuff, I don't care. I'm saying yes to everybody. I got a guy who took my class in Ohio, Steve. He's a truck gun guy. He talks truck guns, modern take on truck guns.
Right.
And he likes little shorties, the SIG crosses, the Q fixes, and he talks little bitty short rifles with 18-inch and shorter barrels. He's there. He has a channel. 100 people watch his stuff, you know? And I'm doing that through the Hide to basically throw the content out because I know how we get crushed, you know? And I want it to be a place where people can go. And like I said, I'm on the Gen 1 of it now. Once the new tools come in, the share tools, the television tools, I think it's going to be that place on your phone where you'll just be watching the videos and be talking to people. You know, the talking head stuff. Articles aren't articles anymore. They're conversations, right?
Yeah.
So that's there. And I'm trying to make it where you're not listening to Frank. You can if you want,
Right.
but I want you to hear Gary's opinion, Summer's opinion, Laura's opinion. You know what I mean? I want everybody's opinion out there.
No, that's awesome. No,
So that's what the Hide's doing right now.
I'm there, Frank. I'll take you up on that, and we'll also do some. You and I will talk. We'll talk about doing some advertising and some things as far as courses, as well as gear, our shop, all that other good stuff. There's some.
I mean, it's small right now. The views like in the month were like around 100 or so for people, but who cares? You're starting somewhere.
I was looking at Laura's face when you said that. I was picking up what she was putting down.
Please slow here. Just let me. There you go, Frank.
All right, hey, folks, real quick, I'm going to open up the floor a little bit. If you guys got any questions
go for it.
for Frank or Laura.
Mike Hen had a question for Laura.
Mike,
That was a good one too.
Where was his question?
Back up.
You know what, Mike? I think what you're going to have to do is a super thanks, and then I'll be able to find it.
Great. Go back up.
I know what he's.
You went full auto fingers. Jesus.
You had that problem in the beginning, didn't you, tonight?
Oh, there's comments.
We didn't even see that.
We can look for Mike. Michael didn't grab it.
I know what he said. He said
he basically said, Laura, what do you have recommendations for people starting out in competition? Basically,
like a type of rifle?
No, I think he was like the one dayers and the locals. How to start? How to get started?
First, I mean, if you've never done a competition, then I would first start ROing and then getting your feet wet with that, because you'll listen to the guys that know how to call wind, make their adjustments and stuff, and you can make you can learn from ROing a lot. You can watch how people hold their bags. You can watch how they hold their gear prior to command, engage, or go, or the beep or whatever. But to get involved, just your local. I mean, find a local match. Your monthly matches in your state.
The locals are the best way to go, I think. I mean, really.
But I'm a huge proponent for learning, and by learning by ROing first. Go just RO a couple matches. I mean, what is it? You get to learn and get to meet a bunch of people. So that way, when you do go to a match, you might have like a group of people around you rather than being a lone person going. You can RO a couple matches, meet some people's names, get some phone numbers, and then say, hey, I'm going to shoot this next match. Do you mind if I tag along with you guys? Jumping in a squad, you can get some help. I always say RO first before going into a match, so that way you can meet people and then, then get some mentorship through ROing by meeting people, and then shoot a match and have fun.
And I'll say, Mike, and some of the other Paramount and XP alumni, hey, look, we want to put together a couple squads to do the Sniper Cup next year. I think you guys will really enjoy that. And add to everything that she said, that was the first competition that I did. I think there's a lot of value in just jumping in and doing it too, and figuring out what you did wrong. Next year, me and Nick were 17th in this, which I think was pretty respectable given my first match. But next year, the goal is top 5, and I think we can do it. But just jump in there and let's get a bunch of Paramount representing out there.
Yeah.
Mike, to answer your question,
you can jump in head first and go balls to the wall and have fun. But I'm like one of those people like to sit back and watch a little bit and get to know people, and then get my feet wet, and then jump in with like like some help behind me rather than being that strange person.
It's the process, right?
I think there's really good value in that. Just going up there and watching a match too, I think would be extremely valuable. Or ROing for the match, 100%.
It's the process. You want to learn the ABC, because like both of us RO'd the major land, so we got to see every shooter do the stages. And when someone comes up, it's like, where does my right hand go? Where does this go? What do I do? Where do I put this down? And they don't have a process. Those are the guys that time out. Those are the guys that fumble and miss shots because they're frustrated. But when someone has a process, A, B, C, I'm going to go up. My tripod's going here. My bag's going here. My rifle's going here. I'm going to set my tripod up in line where I need to. Rifle goes on the tripod, bridge, hook, connect, right? Whatever your process is there. And from that, but it's easy to see when someone doesn't have a process and when people do and they're successful with it.
It's a matter of, having organized action and thoughts, right? And then for that to not be the first time that you've done that thing before. So that helps. And to answer your question, Mike, on this, what we're going to be doing for level 3 courses next year is just like we've been advertising last year that we're going to do this year. We're going to have level 3 courses that are going to be more PRS comp oriented, right? So you're going to see not only day 1 of all of our level 3 courses, we're going to have a very comprehensive ballistics. We're going to cover the Kestrel, laser rangefinders, all the electronics portion of that. As a matter of fact, I plan on working with Kestrel. I think we can get Katie to come out to teach those classes. If not,
they send that out.
Either Ray or I will basically cover some of those things. Ray knows Kestrels especially more than I do. But what those will culminate into is day 3 will be an actual like PRS style match. The other ones that we're going to do now that we've built this relationship again with, they call it Black Bear
Shooting Complex.
Basically out of Peters Mountain, is we're going to do some field match style level 3s as well. So we'll have like a level 3 that's field match style, one that's more PRS style. And then we're also looking at Frank about is like gas gun. We'll be doing some gas gun things as well. So DMR. So got a lot.
Don't think you're going to go to a match with a tripod, seeing a freaking pro with a jersey on, freaking drag a tripod across a whole stage, thinking you're going to do that. That's something you need to take home and practice rather than thinking like, oh, it looks so easy. It's not easy.
So I got to do my Bigfoot question over there because I got my Bigfoot from Alaska here with me. I got to get him in the sun. So they're asking about my best Bigfoot stories from Alaska. So I have a guy in Alaska, David, and he can make the best Bigfoot tracks ever. He uses Riverstone and he gives them texture. And so like 2 years ago, he showed up to a class and he had a lasagna tray and he filled it with dirt and he made me a Bigfoot and plastered it. So awesome. I have like a nice.
You can't claim to be the best Bigfoot hunter when you just tell them how you found Bigfoot. It seems oxymoron.
No, just to start back in the rifles only days. So going back in time, Monday morning class was starting and we did 6-day classes.
Yeah.
And we had 3 cops from Humboldt, Texas. And so the night before on Sunday was the first time I had seen there was a Bigfoot show on TV. And the dudes were like hitting trees with a stick and calling and doing stuff. And they're just yelling in the woods. And I'm like, what the frick is this? So the next morning I come down and there's, 20 people in the class. There's a civilian class. And I'm like, what the hell's up with Bigfoot? And these 2 cops, Daniel Jenkins is one of them, and he's a Marine Scout sniper. And God, I'm spacing on the other guy's name, and I want to say John or Tom, but there's Daniel and his
partner, and I can't think of his partner. I'm sorry. They're like, whoa, you can't make jokes about Bigfoot. And I'm like, why not? And they're like, because we had an officer in our department who quit his job to go hunt Bigfoot.
What?
Right. That's what I said. I'm like, wait a minute, time out. You had a cop quit his job to go hunt Bigfoot. And they go, yeah, he was serious. He was on a side-by-side or four-wheeler.
He must have a freaking,
Yeah.
His parents must have money for him
He
when they
came
died.
around a corner, saw Bigfoot, completely done, and right there says, it's real. I'm out and I'm going to go find him. So 6-day class. And I'm thinking about this every day. And I'm like, this guy quit his job to go hunt Bigfoot. And what's sticking in my head is he's going to go hunt Bigfoot. And I'm like, wait, I'm the world's most successful Bigfoot hunter.
Because somebody made me a plaster foot.
No. This is before that. Way before. So, and they go, okay, well, how do you figure that? I said, easy. I've come as close as every Bigfoot hunter out there. And I have none of their failures.
Is that because everybody else has bigger feet than you?
No, because I didn't go.
Oh.
I never left my house. So that means I'm a better hunter because I've never failed and I've come as close as they have. I created an entire story around being the world's most successful Bigfoot hunter. And then on Sunday after, because Monday I started it, on the following Sunday I put it into practice and I bagged a 6-foot-tall stripper at the club in Corpus Christi. So I know it works.
What was his name?
Yeah. So that's how I'm the most successful. But and then somebody made this for me
In Alaska,
and they gave it to me. So it's really cool. It's like layered, got the owl, the Bigfoot, but you get some really cool stories in Alaska. They'll talk about flying over and see something run across between the woods. You know, they'll mention it all the time.
I've seen naked people running in the woods.
But yes, we did that. There is naked people in Alaska.
I was like, that's the naked person.
So, there you go. There's your Bigfoot.
I am all, for anybody that's been watching this channel, they know I'm all about some conspiracy theories, but I will say, I think.
Oh my gosh. Summer and I need to step out of the room if y'all going to get into conspiracy theories now.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, the thing is I did all the classes at Rifles Only. What people don't know is we taught the alien people in government.
Okay.
They're hitters. Their head training guy is a CAG dude, an original CAG guy. And they're all SEALs and all this stuff. But if you think about it, like when they went anti-Trump and they yanked his, when Biden yanked his security clearance, his Q clearance, where does your highest clearance in government come from? Energy, Department of Energy. Yeah. And we did all their classes for all their alien people and they don't give a shit. They talk about it all the time. They think it's funny when they get chased and all that and all. But the alien stuff goes back to the Manhattan Project. It's the same. Yeah. So that's why you can't, there's no disclosure because it's Manhattan Project level through when it was the Atomic Research Commission before it became the Nuclear Regulatory and Energy and all that. But all of that is under them, which is why nobody can tell us about it because it's energy, 0 point energy, all the different. How does the spaceship fly? How does this work? How does that work? All the UFO conspiracies, when they're talking to CIA and Intel, those guys are just going to lie. They're just liars, right? Because that's their job, DOE.
Excuse me. All right.
And I did their classes. There's 325 agents. They got Mark 11s, Simrads. They're fucking hitters, man. Oscar, they're like seriously like whack dudes.
I believe it.
Yeah.
What other questions do you guys have? What's that?
Is that Jeff Johnson with Bartland?
No, it's Jeff Johnson, Mr. MOA.
This is my MOA nemesis.
Okay.
He's in Georgia.
I don't care where he's from. I don't remember where Jeff Johnson's from, but there's a Jeff Johnson that works for Bartland.
My wife came on here the other day. we love MOA people, gay people. We love it all. Everybody.
I mean, it's all the same.
I mean, I'm a firm supporter in the LGBTQ plus.
Special people need love too.
That's right.
MOA.
We'll wrap you up in a pink and baby blue flag, Jeff.
Absolutely. We'll send you one of Lena Michelick's pink guns, Jeff. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
But just for Mike that was there, yes, Gravity Ballistics works in mils and MOA, meters or yards. Doesn't matter. Whatever you use, just put that number in.
He saw a question.
I saw his question.
He's got you covered.
I think you answered it, though.
Yeah, I did.
Regardless of what you use.
Girl, you better quit.
Drinking, so he needs you to answer it like 5 times.
He is. He's definitely drinking, but now. Well, listen.
No, he is the guy asking the question.
I'm like, I think that's his hand.
Checking comments.
Listen, Frank and Laura, we really appreciate you guys coming on. We'll get you on again soon, but I'll be texting you.
Yeah, we'll talk this week, Gary, or if not, we'll talk right at the beginning of next week. I'm going to be at the range tomorrow, and I got some Black Friday stuff to do, but we'll definitely put you guys together and get you on Hyde TV. This would be perfect for it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll do some advertising with you. I think it'll be good. And we got other stuff to talk about for next year too, but we'll get it all done.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as well.
Absolutely. Frank, Laura, love you guys. We're glad you guys came on. Thank you for taking up the time with us.
This is my first podcast.
This is our first one.
You did awesome.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Laura, is your friend that does the women's stuff, is she local with you?
No, she is not. I can't remember where Robin Sandoval is exactly from, but I will send, actually, I'll just get if you don't mind, I'll get your number from Frank, and I'll send you her contact information so you and Summer can contact her. She's awesome.
100%. We'd love that. Anyways, again, thank you guys for coming on, and we'll talk to you guys soon. You guys
I will not be nice to him, Jeff.
You guys don't leave anywhere. For everybody else out there, and thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. For those who are watching this now, again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you share our podcast. We're going to do more of this. We'll definitely get some more over on Cyber Side. It's really cool to have guests on like Frank and Laura. And yeah, you guys know where to go for all your gear needs. Make sure you go to ParamountTactical.com. Go check out our upcoming training schedule. We have long-range courses, tactical carbine, handgun courses. We have not put out the rest of our 2025 schedule yet. We will, as far as all the medical courses, everything except for long range. 90% of the long-range courses are on the schedule, but we are adding more, and we got a lot of other cool events. But thanks for coming by, and until next time, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.